Welcome to the Sisters in Service podcast. My name is Kat Corchado. I'm a fellow Air Force veteran who, after 20 years of active duty, struggled with transition after leaving service. The Sisters in Service podcast is a platform to include all women veterans, organizations, military spouses, and Blue Star, Gold Star families in talking about the trials and triumphs we face while in service and after service. I want to take a moment to thank all of you who have taken the time to listen and follow me on my journey. My podcast is every Tuesday, and I hope you will tune in. Until then, please be safe, take care of each other, and until next time. Welcome, Sisters in Service, to episode 44. I am Kat Corchado, and our guest today is Anita Legacy Blue, based out of Houston, Texas. Hi, Anita.
Hello, Kat. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course. Now, before we start, where did Legacy come from? Is that a middle name?
You know what? I actually adopted it myself, but that's not my official middle name, but I kind of start using it because I wanted to put that and manifest that in my life as far as what I'm trying to leave behind. A lot of people say that'll be your legacy, but we do sometimes have control of that, right? What really do we leave behind? Are we a good person? I wonder sometimes, what will people say about me once it's all over? Right. And so I think that's the biggest part of your legacy. If somebody can say she was always helpful, she was there, she went out of her way for me, she gave me good advice one time, she was a overall good person who cared about people. And I think that's the biggest part of what I like to leave behind. So I started just calling myself Legacy. Just to kind of put that in atmosphere and see what it would be.
I love that. I thought about adopting Queen or, Goddess, but, it just didn't seem to work. So.
That'll fit. Sounds good, though.
But it's funny you said that because I was just interviewing a guy and he was talking about how his grandfather, he used to take him on his routes with him, and he would make these stops at, I forgot what he called it, but it wasn't called Rite Aid. It's called Rite Aid now, but it was called something else. And he did that up until the day he died. And he said the number of people that came out to his funeral, he said, you never know how much you touch people. Mm-hmm. And he was just being himself, and I said, that's when and it's a shame you don't know that before. So I always say, if you appreciate someone, just tell them. I always say to people, I so appreciate you because I want them to know how much it means to me that they're helping me in whatever way. So thank you for explaining that. I love that.
Thank you.
Cat Legacy. Yeah, that doesn't work. Anyway. Never mind. Besides, it's taken. Yes. So Anita is an Air Force veteran. Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
Love Air Force. My dad was Air Force. I'm Air Force. And tell us a little bit about, I was asked this question. Did you choose the Air Force or did the Air Force choose you?
I chose the Air Force. As I think about it, Kat, and more I talk about it, tell a little bit of my story. My father was estranged from me, but he was an airman. I didn't never meet him. I've never met him. I didn't know him. And it's strange that I went into the Air Force. I think it might be two ways. I'm thinking I chose it, but he probably chose me. But I did know I did not want to go to the Army. Nothing against my Army brothers and sisters, but that was not what I wanted. I wanted to go in the Air Force. So that's kind of how it came about early on, 19 years old when I enlisted. And so to get my first car, that's the reason I joined. Nothing about the educational benefits. My mom was a single parent. I wanted to have my own car. That was a way that I could do it, join the Air National Guard. And that's what I did. And I did get that car, by the way. So that was
mission accomplished.
Absolutely. And 35 years later, man, couldn't have told me that. No way.
I hear you. I was actually born into the Air Force. My dad was already enlisted when I was born. Oh. And when I had decided to go into the military, I almost went in the Navy because I thought their dress whites were amazing.
Yes.
And the recruiter, bless his heart, he said, you know what? He said, your dad was Air Force. he goes, you know, you're going to have to be on a boat for a certain amount of time, you know? And I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll stay in my lane. Thank you.
Yes.
Let me in the Air Force. So when you got out, what was your transition like? Was it a rough transition? Did you like slip right into civilian life and there were no issues, or was it kind of a combination of both?
I could say probably a combination of both for me. As I was getting ready to get out 2 years prior, I was already planning though. I was already seeing what do I want to do? What kind of impact do I want to have? I knew I did not want to work for anyone. I knew entrepreneurship was going to be the path that I was going to pursue. And so I start putting things in place for that to be my life, with the retirement and other benefits that I'm getting as a retiree. I wanted to be my own boss. I always have wanted to be, but it didn't work out earlier for me. But now, by the grace of God, I've not had put in one application. I've been doing well in what I'm doing here on my retired life. But the transition, COVID kind of came in between as I was getting ready. So I was already kind of at home, right? So that part wasn't super hard for me because I was already at home due to that. And so once it happened, it was just kind of like I'm still at home building my business. So I think it wasn't very hard for me. I don't think as far as being away from it, I miss it a little bit, but it wasn't super like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. It wasn't like that at all.
So you kind of already knew,
Mm-hmm.
like you were ready and you were like, okay, since you've been planning, you understood what it is you wanted to do. Because even now, a lot of people don't plan. And I'm talking not just women, but men too. They're sitting there saying, I'm not really sure what I want to do because it creeps up on you. Like, oh, I got 10 years. Oh, I got 5 years. Oh, I got 2 years. Oh crap. What do I do
It's here.
now?
Yeah.
And it's one of those, it's right in your face at that point. And you're trying so hard to, you've been in the military for so long and you know exactly what to do. You know what to expect, you know what to wear. But I know as far as women, when you get out and you find a job, you go on a job interview and they go, oh, just come business casual. And you're like, what does that mean? What does business casual mean? I don't understand. Something as simple as that. How do I wear my hair? What do I do with my hair? What about makeup? A lot of services, I won't say they didn't allow makeup, but you couldn't look as though you had makeup on.
Mhm. Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Couldn't be to the
And
club makeup.
right. You couldn't look like you were like you just come from the club makeup, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but I do understand that you are, and this is a coincidence, you're a realtor in Houston, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you go into real estate?
Well, I actually got my license like 7 years ago. So I was kind of always that entrepreneurial spirit, to have my own way of making money without necessarily really having a boss to tell me where to be and everything. So I had one of my military actually supervisors. He was in real estate and he actually paid for me to get my license. I have to give a shout out to him. He's actually my broker now. He started me, so it's come full circle with him. And he's like, I think you can do it. And I was like, well, I really don't, I wasn't sure. And I like really, really can't afford it. He said, well, I'll sponsor you. And so that's kind of how I kind of got started with that. And I wasn't super active with it. I was kind of, a little sad and disappointed. I felt like I disappointed him. But now we're working together, doing some deals, 2 or 3 contracts right now under executed. So we've been busy.
Congratulations.
So that's kind of how I got into real estate. One of my military supervisors, he kind of got me motivated to do it and believe that I could.
Well, I think it's interesting whenever you go into anything, so let's take real estate for instance, and you talk to realtors and it looks so glamorous and you could, set your own hours and you get these big paychecks, but they don't tell you about the underbelly, the underside, the downside. So for any of you, no matter what business you go into as an entrepreneur, if it's, a 9 to 5, one of the things that I always like to do is ask people what they love about it and what they don't like so much about it. You know what I mean? And then you can kind of make a better decision that way. Because if you just go in saying, oh, I can make lots of money and I could do this, you're going to be in it for a rude awakening because it's always harder than it looks.
Mm-hmm.
It's always harder than it looks. So, Anita Legacy Blues making all their big money in Houston, y'all, selling them
Yeah.
houses and getting people to buy them houses. By the way, what's the market like in Houston?
Well, it's still pretty hot. It's not as it was back in May, June, July, where people were willing to pay over asking 10, 15, 20,000, $30,000. And so that's cooled off a bit, but it's still active, very active. As I say, I have several contracts under now, and people are going in every day still looking to purchase. I think the biggest thing, as you mentioned, that Kat, as people want to look at this lifestyle of as a realtor, people getting licensed every day. It is competitive. It is glamorous when you can do it and when you know what you're doing and feel confident in it. Because a lot of what took me so long was I wasn't very confident in the contract and didn't want to mess it up, right? But the only way you want figure out not to mess it up is to mess it up. Does that make sense? And
It
so
is,
I
but
went through.
it's good to have that mentor though. It's good to have that
Mhm.
person to say, okay, that looks good, or no, change this. Always click, check this box and not this. You know what I'm saying? They can
Right.
look over it for you. You don't have to sit there
Yes.
and go, oh crap, I made a mistake. Because that little notice you get from what is it? The real estate commission
Correct.
about people who didn't do their due diligence. I can't say due diligence
Yes. There it is.
for their buyers or sellers, and they
Hmm.
get caught. And you're
Right.
thinking, what made them think they can do that? So, there are a lot of licensees out there. There are a lot of realtors out there, but there are also a lot of realtors out there who have a license who aren't active.
Right.
So don't let it sway you. I want to get out there and get that realtor license. Go for it. So
Absolutely.
reading your bio, I understand that you also help people in the finance and credit arena. Is that part of what you do with real estate also?
Absolutely. One of the things when I do a consultation for anyone looking to restore their credit is, what's your goal? 9 times out of 10, I want to buy a house. I want to get me a home. I want to get me a new house. And a little bit more goes into that, but does start with your credit and the education behind that. A lot of people think, don't know what credit really is, how it works. Even though we can Google anything, a lot of us don't like to read. But I think the biggest thing for me, I call it, what my mantra is, I've just kind of adopted, is from credit to close. My goal is to get you in a better space, and maintain the score. Not only get the score raised, but have the knowledge to maintain it. Does me no good to tell you to get your score in a better space and then you don't know what I did, right? Because you're going to go and do the same things because you haven't been educated. So a big part of what I do
Absolutely.
is talk about those 5 factors, to that affect your score, how it's rated, how it's calculated, to help people understand that it's very fluid and you have to learn how to operate inside of it. Because you'll see a few people that go and they apply for credit at several different stores, thinking it's the store that's turning them down. No,
Right.
it's your actual credit history that's getting you, turned down,
In
and now
trouble.
you're,
Yeah.
yeah, and now you're adding to it by, doing more inquiries. So I think it's just those educational pieces. So that's what I like about the credit. It marries up good with real estate and realty and home purchases. So that's a big part of what I like to do.
Oh, yes. And I think it's important too for people to understand the why.
Yes.
My dad used to say, oh, you need to save some money, got to save some money, but he never broke it down. Why do
Hmm.
I need to save?
Right.
What's it for?
Mhm.
And I think it's important because, when I grew up, because, I'm like in my 80s now, but, long, long time ago, when, you grew up and, you were supposed to get married and have kids, but I had a different idea of what I wanted to do. And so, the finance part was always what my dad handled. My mother handled no finances at all. My
Mhm.
dad paid everything. He was the one who did everything with the cars. He did all of that stuff. And then when he passed, my mother had no idea where anything was. I was like, Mom, where are the papers for that? I don't know. Where's the insurance paper? I don't know. Your dad did that. Mom, where's when did you last get the car inspected? I don't know. Your dad did that. So it's almost a disservice. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
It's scary. I know it's
Hmm.
scary. I hear a big number and I want to back off. I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. Like buying a house, buying a car. But
Hmm.
it's good to know where your finances are. It's
Absolutely.
great to walk in someplace and say, how would you like to pay for that? And you go, cash, please. And they look at you like, what?
Yes. Right.
I just want to write a check. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So it's good to know where you are. And it can be a little bit of a letdown sometimes. You think you're doing well and you're not doing as well as you thought.
Mhm.
But you can change that. That's the great news, is that you can change that. And so I love the fact that you're able to do that, help them with their finances and then turn around and help them get into a house.
Yeah.
It's like full circle. It's like a trip. You go there, you turn around, you come back,
Mhm.
So I love that. And you don't have to go anywhere. She's right there in
Right.
Houston.
Absolutely. Here to help any way I can.
So is that part of your real estate? I mean, do people have to pay for that part? Is that something you just throw in there? Is that what makes you different? Is that your special sauce as a realtor?
I would think so. They have some that refer you out, but I think I can add that value. There is an additional cost for that, just to, be educated. And I think when people pay for things, they kind of tend to pay attention a little bit more and want to learn. But I truly stress, hey, this is like if you're paying for something, treat it like it's a course that you're taking. This is a credit course. I tell everybody that pay attention to it. Go in and click in. And several other things we offer getting your credit restored with us, budgeting, savings, credit builder, credit monitoring. We offer a will and trust in the services that we provide. So it's not just we trying to just get your credit restored. We want you to be fully educated, have a good foundation of everything you're doing with your finances. So I think it's super important. I've always kind of had that bug, had insurance way back, life insurance myself on me and my daughter. And so I've always known how important it was. And so now I can advocate for other people and try and help them along the way. And so that's a big part of what I like to do. I feel good about that when I can have somebody, who closed on a house who worked with me on that credit. I was just like,
Mhm.
man, we did it. Congratulations to
Yeah.
both of us, right? For
So it's the
hanging in there.
what, the why, the how, and the why. So
Yes.
that people understand fully what they're
Yes.
getting into. Their eyes are wide open. They're not going
Mhm.
into going, oh, I didn't know,
Right.
which happens a lot
Yes.
even when you're not buying a house, just saying.
Mhm. Yes.
For those of you that don't know, I met Anita on Clubhouse. I happened to pop into one of her rooms by accident, actually, and stayed and listened. And I'm not from Houston.
Right.
So when she invited me up on stage, I was like, ooh, do I really want to do that? Because I'm not in Houston.
Right. No, we welcome everybody. Everybody's a part of us.
But you're such a strong presence in Clubhouse. What made you want to do a room as a
You know
moderator?
what? This military just continues to follow me. One of my mentees, him and I served together doing the honor guard full time, Mr. Trishan Holmes. And he invited me, told me about the app. I needed to get on it. He knew I was an entrepreneur and, what you're doing, you can do it. You can come on and talk about it. And, this is you. I know this is you. You can do it. And it wasn't originally us even doing anything together, but he met someone else and we all were doing a room together. It was like a trio of us, kind of bringing that little morning show flavor. And then,
Right.
we kind of parted ways, but him and I stuck together. And so that's how we got the show that we have. And so it was really him pushing me saying, you can do it. I always kind of wanted to do radio. I feel like it's a radio show, right?
It
And
does.
so,
It's got that feel.
yes, and you just
It's
have a lot more
lively.
participation. Yeah.
People are awake.
Hmm.
If you've ever been in rooms and there's this lull, there's silence, you're like,
Hmm.
well, okay, who's supposed to be talking right now?
Right. Yeah. And I'll pop right out.
Happens in your rooms, by the way. That never happens.
Yes. Yes.
So I do understand that you have a book out. So tell us a little bit about your book, the title, what made you want to do a book?
Well, as I was getting ready to retire, right, still a part of my retirement plan, what I'm going to do, what's the timing to do stuff, because I always wanted to do something, with a book or have something in print. I ran across a company or organization, some video, you're scrolling and I hit something and it led me from one thing to the next to the next. Now here, hey, they're offering you the opportunity to be a part of a book. And so I said, hey, this is my opportunity. I'm still, working. I have the finances to pay for it. And so I went for it. They gave me a blueprint. It's called Success Publishing, right? And I'm a co-author in the book, but I am the book cover, right? My chapter is the first chapter. And it talks a little bit about my life in the military. My title chapter is Becoming a Leader While Hiding in Plain Sight. I was in the military, retired after 35 years, but a large part of that, I wasn't my authentic self because I am a lesbian. I could not be that. So I was hiding, but present. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so
Yes.
until everything started changing, through Don't Ask, Don't Tell, all those other things, I wasn't able to fully be who I was. And so that was a part of me being able to move though through the military and still, be blessed enough to, make, one of the highest ranks, which is E8, in spite of all of that. But that came a little bit after everything kind of, got a little better for, being LGBTQ in the military. So I really kind of talk about my beginnings and being in childhood, my mother being a single mother. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and kind of take you down a little path of me joining the military, like I told you, and just some of the experiences that I had going through that. But a big part of my life was that. And it taught me so much. I'm forever grateful to the military, the Air Force, and everybody who I've ever come in contact with. And I talk about 5 principles that are important to me in leadership. And those would be, your ability to be, have humility, to be passionate about what you're doing, have the courage and the commitment to continue on in spite of what I might have been going through or some experiences that I experienced. And then, it's a couple of others. My mind's going blank because I'm talking, but it's just those things for me. And so that's kind of what I put into writing in my chapter, just my experience and going through that. That's just kind of one chapter. So my goal, hopefully, is to do something else, do another chapter, another book, just adding on to that, and some more in between the sauce, if you will.
Right.
But I think the big part of it was leadership, how I grew in spite of some of the things that might have been obstacles in my way along the way. And so,
But that must have been really difficult, though, knowing that you're always kind of looking over your shoulder to make sure no one's following you or no, you know what I mean?
right.
Because that's a whole different type of stress. I would believe I'm asking the question, is that like that's like a whole nother load you're carrying around?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then if somebody were to speak negativity, I'm getting like you, reading this negatively.
I'm sorry.
It's that Mercury retrograde, dang it. Negatively about it, and I can't really defend or say anything. That was more probably one of the hardest things, just to see people be really hurtful, negative, or hateful towards the culture and the community. I can honestly say once I came to Texas, and that was 20 years ago, I was really deciding that my mother had passed away. And part of me was like, I don't have to be anything else for anybody. Because, as your parents, you want to present a certain image and not embarrass them.
Right.
But I didn't know I moved away so early that I didn't even know that they were going through things because of me. And, and the community we lived in. My sister and brothers told me later when I came back home that they still experienced some hateful things. And so, but it just kind of, I was able to make it through. I never had a break. I did 35 years straight from wherever I went, to Alaska, to Louisiana, to Texas. I was able to stay in the military. So, it's just one of those things, but it was tough at times.
Do you think it's better now for the LGBTQ community as opposed to when you first came in the military?
Absolutely. You're able to be who you are. Some people still going to be hateful, just like racism. They have discrimination in any type of environment, but you have the freedom to really be able to be yourself without having to really hide it, right? Even in the military now, they've changed they changed the hair,
I know, I saw that.
the grooming, the AFI for your hair. And
Yes.
I was like,
It's
wow.
about time, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Now,
so
I
that was one
understand
of
if
the
you're
things.
in a certain career field that, having longer hair can get in the way. I
Right.
get that. But if I'm working a desk job, what does my hair got to do? What I never understood that. But I know that I asked that question only because of everything else that's going on. There seems to be sweeping changes across the military that I think was it the Army. I was trying to figure out which one of the services said that, men can now wear earrings, like an earring.
Oh, wow. That's new to me.
I know.
So I'm gonna look
Maybe
that
I'm
one up.
wrong. Okay, it's
No, it's
Mercury
possible
retrograde.
because I didn't even know about the hair. I went to someone's retirement, and that's when I noticed the hair. They told me, And I was like, wow,
Like, she
okay.
got her regs.
The beards too. Yeah, the beards too, with the guys with beards. So it's just changing a lot. So I can't say it's bad. Hands in your pocket. I just heard somebody say now you can put your hands in your pockets. In the
Oh,
Air
that was the
Force.
hardest thing for me.
Yes. And
Not to
so
put, then what's the point? Why have
right.
pockets if you can't put your hands in your pockets? I still believe that.
Yes.
Just sew them up then so I don't
Yes.
have to put,
Yes.
I
Yes.
did see a picture, and this was a while ago. I think it was an Air Force that military woman in, her sweater, the skirt, and she had the Louis Vuitton heels because they had the red bottom. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, some people were like, oh no. And I go, oh yes.
Yes. Yes. Somebody told me about that too. I saw that too. And I think they said she couldn't do it, that was out of regulation. It was too flashy. That she did it. It was a general, somebody like a
I
officer,
can't
wasn't it?
remember. I
I think it
can't
was an officer.
remember.
Hmm.
But someone said, what are you thinking? I was like, yes,
Yeah.
hello. I'm okay with it.
Right.
But, you know,
Yes.
little baby steps at a time, baby steps
Yes.
at a time.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone who is in the LGBTQ community who wants to go in the military? What kind of advice would you give to them before they go in?
Just do it. You deserve it. You have the right to do it if you're truly going for the right reasons, to serve and to be of service. Be strong, stand in who you are. Don't let anybody sway you. Don't let anything kind of take you off track of what your goal is. Why are you even joining? Whatever your goal is for joining or committing, follow that. Follow your dreams. Don't let anybody sway you from that. Be who you are. Be authentic. And whatever your purpose is, go for your purpose. Because people do have the tendency to want to project whatever they have going on onto you,
Of
and
course they
that's
do.
them, right? They want
Yeah,
to
it's
project
about
it.
them.
Yes. So no, you make it about you. Be strong and convicted in who you are. Obey the rules. Okay. Be within regulations. And do what you're supposed to do as an airman, as a service person. But be yourself. You don't have to hide or feel less than. And a lot of times I would be in rooms and I was just like, they know somebody's watching. It was kind of hard at times. You get in certain situations and you in
Sure.
the uncomfortability of it all. So, but
Absolutely.
towards the end, it was no problems. No real stress behind that part. But
Right.
so I'm grateful.
Well, I know it's funny. Some people go one way or the other. Like you have the people who, you could cut your fingers on their sleeves because the crease
Mm.
was so, that was my husband. Everything's shiny and, just on point. And then there was me.
Uh,
Now, I wasn't at the other end of the spectrum, but I did what was required that was
mhm,
within regulations. But,
mhm.
my husband always tells me, and he'll tell me this today, he goes, you were the most military person I knew, you know. And
I can
I said, I
believe
don't know what
that.
to tell you. I did 20 years. So obviously I was more military than you thought,
Right. Yeah. That's a long time. You're right.
So for our listeners who are in the LGBTQ community, are there resources for the veterans when they get out? Is the transition different or is it the same?
I don't find that it's any different.
Okay.
Especially in my case, I kind of, like you say, I knew what I wanted. I think the best thing for anybody transitioning, please, please, please plan it, prepare yourself in every way, do your research, figure out what you really want to do. I mean, you've been doing what somebody wanted you to do and been there on time and been there late, travel across the world. What do you want to do now? What is your like, man, if I could do that, oh, I would be so happy if I could do that. Go for that. That's what I would tell
Right.
anybody and start planning several years ahead of time. A
At
year
least
out is
two,
even,
at
yeah,
least
a
2 years,
minimum,
a
minimum.
minimum of 2 years.
Yes.
I
Because
think
once
I
that,
would say is find out who you are without the uniform on. Like,
mhm,
who are you when if it was taken away from you, you're not near a base and you're not wearing the uniform, who are you? Who is that person? What is that? Because you never asked in the military, oh, Kat, what do you like this color or do you like the other color?
right,
It's like, look, you're wearing this, regs have changed. Here you go. Have a good
yeah,
day.
mhm,
But you have a choice now. But who are you outside of the uniform? And I think what's hardest, and I can't believe it's still happening now, is the fact that women tend to be more invisible to organizations and other people, because everyone has this idea. When I say everyone else, I'm talking civilians, of what a veteran looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, oh, when you're approaching someone, they're like, oh, she could be a mom, she could be an athlete, she could be this, she could, but they never say, wow, she could be a veteran. And it's really annoying me. And I don't know why now's the time. I just don't understand that. But I remember and here's my challenge for you guys. The next time there's a holiday for veterans, watch the news. And I don't mean so much the news. Watch all of the commercials, watch the news, and see how many women veterans they actually talk to, like real people. Because that's going to tell you a lot right there.
So, Kat, what if we do a challenge? Something, all the women veterans post something, just to let people know how many there are, because it's a lot of people. You're right. I'll look at somebody like myself now. I'm not the same person I was, right? I've gained a few old lady pounds, and they'll probably look at me like, you were in the military. But yes, we, a lot of us, we come in all different shapes, forms, and, fashions. So if we could figure out a challenge, maybe you and I, just to kind of bring some light to that, get on some kind of news story, talk to somebody, do it on Clubhouse. I can host a room or something. Just
or even
to bring
Instagram Live. Let's do it on Instagram Live and talk about it.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's something, and challenge these news content people, papers, all of them, all y'all.
Right. Yeah. The media.
The media. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To say, you know what, do your job and find women veterans.
Right.
Don't just roll the same tape you rolled last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to find a male veteran, and no hate to my male veteran brothers, but it's time for a woman to say, hey, I'm a veteran, and here's what I did, and here's why, and here's what this means to me. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. So, and this needs to go nationwide, just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so, so we're going to do this. Maybe it's something as simple as having a Clubhouse room to let everyone know, hey, this is what we're doing. Y'all need to, tune in to Instagram Live. So maybe we could do that. Okay. So any last words, Anita, for our audience? It's been such a pleasure having you as a guest.
Well, thank you so much, Kat. I did not give you your flowers to say thank you for hosting this and, being a voice for, sisters in service, because our voice is not loud enough. A lot of us serve a lot of years as well. And I'm meeting more and more women veterans outside of, my circle. So I thank you for this opportunity. I would just only say I'll leave people with, in the military, part of my book is be the leader you want to see. If you have a leader that you've had and they were like unapproachable, had a bad attitude and did some things that you didn't think were quite, professional or whatever, is that the leader you want to be? And because they were that leader, will you follow in those footsteps? Don't do that. Be who you are and be the best version of yourself. And go for what you want, be authentic. I think those are powerful things that I've learned later in life, but I learned them and I definitely want to pass them on to anyone who is out there listening. Thank you, my sister in service. I appreciate you so much.
And on that mic drop, we're going to say bye. Thank you so much, Anita. And for everyone else, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, please stay safe. Take care of each other. Okay, we need to take care of each other. And as always, until next time and our next session, we'll speak soon.